I think that one of the big missing pieces in self-directed education is a lack of a great fiction story or a play or a novel. I mean, that carries so much weight. I mean, there are so many television shows. Saved by the kids are just, smarter than the adults. They're all wisecracking and they're all in school, pulling one over on the teacher every now and then. I mean, those stories have lasted. Where are our stories? We've got to get more of them out there. There actually were more, if you look at like before like World War II, like Pippi Longstocking and all these Emil and the Detectives, all the kids were in the world. I mean, and doing things. But, how do we get that? I mean, it's always like some kindly adults showing them how to do stuff like they're in school, but now they're outside, So yeah, I would like to see someone write the great novel about self-directed.
I co-sign on that one, Pat.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. So you beat me to it. I guess that's a sign that it's probably a good idea. So yeah, and like fictional movies, fictional TV shows, fictional books. Maybe Scott and I were chatting about this via Slack a little while ago, like maybe a graphic teen novel depicting a great adventure story of, young people who don't have to get back in time to finish their homework and, they could do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I think that fictional narrative will be really great in convincing kids, young people, that this option is exciting and make it appealing to them. So I think a lot of teenagers get swept up in the pep rallies, the prom, the yearbook, all of the rites of passage of regular school and high school. And I know when I was in school, I was pretty excited about those things too. My family members, my younger cousins get really excited about their school pride types of things, which is great. But there don't seem to be that many kind of popular depictions of what this kind of lifestyle could be like. And so I think that the fictional representations could be just as important as the non-fictional documentary style ones, especially for young people.
I think another thing that makes a big difference is when that's becoming normalized is when it's not the main part of the story. It's just like there are people in the story who happen to be unschoolers, or they happen to be going to a free school, and that's but it's not a story about unschooling or free schooling. Then when it becomes more in the background, then it'll be normalized. And
I really like the sound of this. I feel like much of my youth was spent having to justify what we did at Sudbury Valley, always being asked, well, what do you do? What are you learning? Well, what do you do? And feeling pressure to represent ourselves well and the mode of education well. So yeah, bring on the fiction stories so it takes the pressure off the kids.
Yes, I think that's the takeaway from this panel right here. We need to just inundate the space.
I think that it's probably worth noting that all the great stories about children are stories about unschooling. Do you know any great novels about children in school? They're all about children unschooling. But everybody used to unschool because there wasn't much time, and kids had a lot of time out of school. I mean, from Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer on, these are all the stories. It's all about the adventures that kids had with other kids, and what they're learning and what they're getting out of school. Unfortunately, it's hard to write such books today because everybody's spending all their time in adult-directed activities, whereas in the past, kids spent a lot of time basically unschooling.
Yeah, I mean, if a parent does that now, they're considered a bad parent.
Right. That's why, here's a little story that's, I think, worth mentioning. I heard, this wasn't told to me directly, it was told to me indirectly by Lenore Skenazy, who talked to a mother, and she said, Lenore was saying, those cartoon characters like Peanuts and so on, these kids who are just out there, That's actually the way kids used to be. They were out there doing things without adults present. And this was a young mom who said, no. Really? I thought that was like in cartoons, you can have animals talk. I mean, this is just fantasy. Isn't it amazing how the world has changed? It was just a couple of generations ago, kids were out there doing all kinds of interesting things. We expected them to, and now they're not. And that's yet another reason why we absolutely need the unschooling movement, because school and school-like activities have absolutely absorbed children's lives. And they are no longer having lives of their own outside of school. And almost the only way you can give your child a life of his or her own is to get them out of school and out of all those school-like activities.